Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I have with me another very special guest, Meilin Elhke. Willkommen, Frau Elhke.
Danke. Thank you very much for having me on your show. I'm
Yeah,
honored.
no problem, no problem. Nicht problem. So, how are you? How are you doing?
Really good. We have sunshine again in Germany, and then my heart sings.
Yeah. It was very difficult what had happened there. It is very tragic to talk about and to think about. But we're talking about something else, like the Monty Python Flying Circus set, and now for something completely different. So, yes. And now for something completely different. Yes.
Yes, let's go.
Yes. Let's go, gents. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Wow, it's always hard to pinpoint who I am. I think I love having fun. I love meeting people, and I love sitting in the sun. I think. My cats. They always push me forward in my life. Otherwise, I just live myself and I look forward what unfolds right in front of me.
Wow, that's great. I never heard someone describe themselves in such a few words, but it's great to hear that. But you're also a kind of an artist, a kind of an architect. So would you tell me a little bit about your artistic tendencies, shall we say?
Oh, yeah, they started when I was young. I loved to paint and draw. I love to be in nature, right? Later, that brought me to landscape architecture to study. Uh, to see the beauty, I think that's another thing that makes up my genetics and my inspiration. I love seeing beauty, and I can see it in everything and in everyone, anything existing. And that moved me forward to movement. I have cerebral palsy, right? So movement um, is interesting. Even though I can't move as others, I
Yes.
still never stopped exploring what my body is able to do.
Yes.
Dancing, I love to dance. And later, when I lived in America, I found Latin music. So that really touches me
Yeah.
deeply. The rhythms, even those, right? Because it's based on African rhythms,
Yes.
is that
Yes.
inspires me. And then later through that, I learned that I'm a channel, right? Because I was dancing and someone saw me, said, "Oh, Mylene, you're channeling these dances that we dance for our gods,
Mm,
our ritual dances." And then I learned more about myself, that I'm a physical channel. So you see, a guy, my exploratory it was more an exploratory life. So I would never really set out to one thing. And if I did one thing, right, I studied a little business. I studied, then I got my master's in landscape architecture in the US. Then but my art was missing the whole time, right? When I was coming out of
yeah.
school, they said, "Oh, only, the stupid women pick art." And also, I was not considered an artist in the way the teacher thought or the academics. So what I've learned later, I paint energy. And when I was then after college looking for a studio to sublet, to explore my style of painting, I noticed I just do wishy-washy and not the pictorial. And
Yes.
but that again took me on the journey to see, oh my God, I dance energy, I am energy, I paint
Yeah.
energy, I now sing and talk energy. And so at the end, I thought I'm just a energy artist.
Yeah, you're a different kind of being, shall we say? But that is the maybe the nature or the purpose of shall we say, I don't know, religion, maybe to try to suppress those kind of primal dealings of the human soul with its gods, going from a polytheistic, a paganistic worldview into a monotheistic, has a lot of effect on the world as we know it. So, what do you
Yeah.
think that art should do to the human soul? Because I have my take. So,
So I see more and more artists being taken out of a lot of educations more and more, right? When 100 years ago, 150, you went to college to express yourself, to be an artist, even if you went into science or other degrees. There were not so many as you have now. But art was a way of living, of exploring the world, how integrating it. I think also there was the time where it was celebrated. The task of doing and art was being seen in anything. Nowadays we have to think about the Japanese, right? They still keep that beacon of every act you do, if it is you make food, yeah, if you do sports, if you work, everything you cook, it's always an art form. And how you host someone, how you communicate, they celebrated the celebration in that time and love you put into something. And I think it has been taken out. Yes, as you just hinted, a lot is about taking it out on purpose to control the way we think, to be controllable. Yeah. Also, if you artist, you start thinking, you ponder, you take the time to figure out why are things the way they are, right? In a way you philosophize and you talk with others. That's dangerous for many, because then you act on your own, and for thousands and thousands of years this was taken away for us here in Europe already,
yes,
right? The Romans, they came in and took away
yeah,
our sacred languages, and they took away the healers, they took away the midwives, I mean, took away,
yes,
they killed them, and dispersed communities. So then you have no interaction, you can't create with others, and you wither and you fall within yourself. And so I love that you have a podcast like this now where we can see, oh, we are aware of what has been done and how we have reacted as a person. But now it's time for change. We have to find ourselves and believe again in our abilities to be this creative being and to create our life for ourselves and for others in a very beautiful way.
yeah. It reminds me of something that it doesn't have to do exactly to what you were saying, but there was a literary critic who called John Milton, if you know the
I
Paradise
heard the name,
Lost.
yeah.
Yes, yes, the poet. He he called him a church unto himself. So it has to do with actually the perforation of society, that we are devolving again into tribal societies, and the
Mhm.
tribes become even more and more smaller day by day, and it is very weird. So what do you think about this, that we are devolving again into the time of tribes? The tribes were really, really small, and we are heading towards that direction as a humanity as a whole.
Oh, yeah. So, what are we learning? We're learning to live our natural state. So, we are seeking something. And the artists, right, they took the time to seek out how it functions. The science helps us now extremely to catch up what we need, what happens with our body, how the cosmos exists, how we are connected, that plants can feel pain. So, this ancient wisdom that we hear that has been, suppressed for a long time
Yes,
is rising up again through science. Is that, oh, and we're learning, oh my God, this was there. So they lived it. We can find
yes,
here pieces, right? we find so many more sacred spots. We're learning
Yeah.
that our
I'm sorry
societies are
to
so
cut you
much
off.
older.
Yeah, I just want to say something real quick, that the ancient societies like the Mayans or the Egyptians or the Sumerians, the people are just, they are so confused about their ability to harness technology and to know all these things, all these sciences. And they say it can't be, it must be some kind of, I'm sorry to say this again, say that it must be aliens. I don't
Yeah,
believe in. I don't believe in that. I don't
yeah.
believe that aliens exist, at least in our galaxy. Maybe they exist farther away, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a way how we have depicted aliens, right? I
Yes.
do call connect with star nations, and I do bring sounds, and they were always a pertinent part, I think,
Yes.
of ancient societies. We can see it in the symbols, for example, of Native Americans. We can see it on paintings of in caves or in Australia, right?
Mhm.
Those are really wisdom paintings. They were not just some people that didn't know how to paint yet, talking
Yes.
about
Yes.
painting.
Yes.
It was like a honed in, compressed knowledge of wisdom, and there were certain symbols carrying energy again, right?
Yes.
Um, so, and we're finding even now more in the ages, we can see how much longer we have lived here, right? We knew it, but the
Yes.
English way, or let's say the conqueror's way of the modern times, they really tried to separate us. They couldn't see wide enough.
Yes. Every
Once upon a
month.
time, we
Yeah.
traveled the world and we're much more mixed. And now, again, science doesn't look at the DNA, but they look at the protein of us, and they can see, oh my God, there were the Laplanders, right? From all the way north in Europe. They were all the way now in Australia, and the other way around. The Germans were able to walk in the ice age all the way to Africa in 8 days. So you have to start questioning what restrictions have been put on us, and we're discovering, we were talking about sacred sites. The world is full of them, and maybe the landscape has grown over, the water has come risen. um, the wonders, they picked others, but then you have wonders of beautiful buildings in other countries where they were also looked upon of not being intelligent or whatever.
Yes. Yes. Primitive.
Developed.
Primitive. Yeah.
So this is all dissolving, and we see all over the world there was knowledge and ancient, and we have now to just open our eyes and expand our horizons. Oh, what was more possible, and what is even now more possible than we can fathom?
Yes, we haven't developed tools to actually study all the different elements of cultures that are not Western in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, because we adapted ourselves in the scientific method for 2,250 years or so, where the scientific method is, let's say, acknowledged officially. Um, so, what do you think that we should do? I'm not saying that we should build another Tower of Babel and to have all of humanity live under one language, under one religion, or something like this. But is there some kind of, I don't know, connecting tissue?
Yeah, the
Uh,
tissue is us. Yeah,
yes,
when
yes,
I
that's.
think you said something
But
beautiful.
the abstraction of
Yeah, the
ideas
abstraction
that,
is listening. I would
yes.
say that it's listening and being present. Yeah, so I'm present now for you to listen. You're present for me. We made a decision, an intense decision, to learn more about each other and to be in the moment and not worry what was, and not to think too much what will be, or the bigger picture. What beauty can be found in this time that we're together? What wisdom is spoken in the moment we come together? what inspiration, what hints, what do I learn from you that inspires my work, and and the other way around. So we are very different, and not by physically, we all carry the blood, um, in how our history was, right? So, but now to be open and to be compassionate for each other, and slow down to listen, listen to tribes we haven't listened to, right? Maybe they don't have huge buildings because they don't believe it. They're wanderers. We don't need borders. We are beings that are not stagnant. We're not stationary, really beings that are moving always, right? That's why maybe I like this energy art. I need create movement in the world again. If you stop people move, you also control them, right? You box them in, they're afraid, they get tight, they don't even move their body. So that's why you guys, right? You love the idea of dancing. Suddenly you can feel,
I love the
you start
idea, but I
feeling.
will never be able to. So
Everyone
I
can
want
dance,
it.
even if it's about, but it's finding, if you stand and sit, anyone can dance. And we're told, now again, that's the same thing as an artist, right? I was told I can't paint. I've been told many things. I was told I can't walk when I'm older. I'm in a wheelchair. I was told I can't sing. I am told I can't write. I'm dyslexic. Now my clients come and I can edit their text and I see the truth and where they have to fine tune. And I hold the space for them to go in and fix it. So I just do it different, right? So if we go away from all the things we're told we can't do and say, yeah, we can, I just do it different. And that again opens up possibilities. Art, who any person can paint. It's an expression. In that moment, you put a color, you take a pen, you take a stick through the earth, a stick through the sand, your finger through the sand at the ocean. That's art. That is really being connected with everything that existing and modeling, letting something create right out of it. That is, I think, the essence of art. And the same with movement. Um, I'll tell you a fun story. So I was told I was not an artist, but I loved landscape architecture. I'm still the generation, we just learned computer, but so we did still paint a lot by hand. So in a way, for me, it was the idea of being an artist with an okay stamp, or, a check mark. And after a while, we were rendering, you had filled, you follow lines, you have all these plans. And then later when I was subletting the art studio, and I noticed, oh my God, at the beginning, I only could use, the brush like this. And then with time, more movement came in. And then the canvases grew, the brush strokes got bigger, and the brushes got fatter. And then I hung them on the wall, big ones, or I put them on the floor.
I know.
And then there were danceable
I know a
movements.
guy. I know a guy who.
Yeah?
Sorry. Yeah. I know a guy who paints with a big broomstick.
Yeah, that is fun.
He
because it's
uses
fun.
it like a brush. Yeah.
And
That
as
is
you have
amazing
fun,
to
you
me. Yeah.
open up and do more. And I bet it's the same. You write a lot, right? So
Yes.
it's the same thing. So first we're maybe afraid to write, but then you write a sentence or maybe a few words. And then suddenly you have a whole sentence, and then suddenly you have a paragraph, and maybe the times between, or you have an experience somewhere and you have the missing word in a poem, and even there it builds up. And if we let ourselves get into this energy of saying it's all right, it's okay, even if it's not the perfect word, I keep on writing, and that word one day just pops up, maybe when I'm lying in bed, and you put it in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes I write a whole poem and I'm missing something. I'm missing a line, and it is very, very annoying. and I don't know what to do about it. And then I go hours after hours trying to think about something. And then it comes up maybe, sometimes it doesn't take that long, but it could take sometimes up to a month to come up
Mhm.
with the right word. So, do you think there is some kind of a, I don't want to say this because I have found that people I asked them this question, artists and poets and stuff like this, and they say the opposite, but I will ask it anyway.
Go ahead.
Is there, thank you, is there some kind of divine inspiration that comes to artists to make and create?
Yeah, I think maybe more of a tendency, or are more open. Are we born this way? Yeah, I think there is something. Why is it so important for this expression of self-expression? But I think it's also in an engineer. If I have a husband, he's engineer, or I met other artists that also had maybe engineers. They also have to think very abstract and out of the ordinary. If you look at Einstein, very mathematically, I think he's also very creative and divinely met. There is a connection and a belief to keep on going. And that's in every profession. If you have a strong passion and desire to do something, to change something, to optimize something, um, that's this self search of how do I function, that is in all of them. And then to let it just flow, to write it out, and to take the time to let it develop. And that is very divinely. But I'm even a person, I say, I'm part of the divine. Yeah. And our humans, really, we have fallen out a little bit of the divine. Nature
Yes,
and the
yes.
animal world, they're in it. So we had sacred languages. So it's a way now where we're learning again to find the entry to be again part of the divine in every facet of us, right? The sacred sounds that our languages connect. You can see the youth is very in tune with being part of the cosmos, the larger picture. They want to learn their own languages. They going back to artisan work, right? They're noticing they have to change something. It can't go on, and they're missing something. They're not so numbed. There is a whole new, right? Why are they revolting against us already in such a young age?
Yeah,
So I think it's something really strongly in tune with us that wants to be lived and by everyone. And
yeah,
maybe artists have been the leaders, or maybe they were in a way rebels enough to show that there is a connectiveness, or to be in a way, as you're asking me, maybe also to a little bit of the wisdom keepers, um, more using those words or not, depending of what time period or what culture they lived in. If they didn't live in a culture that was still living the ancient way of where you're recognized for what you bring to this world, and that have still their sacred languages. So we have to, and you can see now in the world, they're trying to even reduce those tribes again, so this knowledge doesn't come back alive, because then, you know.
yeah. You have stuff like the European Union, which is something that doesn't exist in any other continent on Earth. Nobody has something like this. Um, there is something called there are a lot of organizations, shall we say, and foundations that are called sorry, United, but they are in the service of the government and the local states and stuff like this. So I want to come back to that issue. I don't want to leave it alone. The issue of tribes, and why we know the main function of tribes when they first emerged, but now we don't see. We have a tribe, unfortunately, and they are also our masters. They are called Google and Facebook and Apple and Amazon. Um, and I think there is more, shall we say, room for to be a rebel now more than ever. And it is to say, to come back to what you said, to come back to nature, not in the new age or shamanistic turn, but just into our natural states as human beings, as organic beings also. So, what do you think about us getting rid of the shackles of technology, shall
They
we
will
say?
they will disappear, I think, automatically. So there is also, you have to use it. So you have to be aware what it is, that it is a shackle. But there's another, you can get out of those shackles. There was, was once in a group, they were looking at old sayings or a wisdom, not Zaubersprüche, wizardry in a way,
Wizardry.
right? Yeah, and there was one about shackling, and because I'm a physical channel, they tested them on us, and we were becoming very soft and dissolved. We were able to change a little form and get out of those shackles. So now look at the same thing with the internet. I see it as something good, and I concentrate on the good. That's a very important thing, I believe. And looking at the goodness behind. So one thing it does, it unites in a way that people don't feel so alone. It's amazing how many other wisdom keepers, shamans, light workers, you can go on and on, other artists I could find around the world that have been more alone, right? In all parts of
Yes,
the world. So
solitude,
they're
solitude.
unifying and exchanging and saying, oh my God, someone else can do. So what I'm doing is the right thing. Oh my God, they're doing this. Oh, then
Yes.
what I'm doing isn't really so awkward. Yeah, so this is one thing. Then I also think with the youth, they do all this, but what they're honing in a little bit, and this is really interesting, they starting to use more telepathy. So in a
Okay,
way, they
explain.
connect in different, they don't call it that yet, yeah?
Yes, I
But we're tuning ourselves to see, okay, the technology, if radio science can go, then we suddenly become more aware. Then also, what's also interesting, uh, the new way of even if it's like the youth is looking all these Japanese cartoons, but
yeah,
in those
anime,
cartoons
yeah.
there's ancient wisdom, and that
Yes.
soaks in, and they see these things, and suddenly they're learning about the Japanese, we're learning about a South American, and we're learning about Africa. So you see suddenly there's dissolving um, the separation by
Yes.
culture, even by social level, by gender, right? So I think, and I concentrate on that, what are the good things and how can you use it to learn more about ourselves and to unify. And the other unification, we see it, COVID is showing us very beautiful, or now even our floods here, what wasn't right. Yeah, why is this flooding happening, and why are buildings in certain ways being built? As a landscape architect, I had to look at many maps. And it still got built because maybe for money
Yes.
or other reasons, or a control, or
Yes.
recognition. Yeah, so it's hard to just pinpoint on one, and people will get more aware through this again and say, oh, what is all not functioning, And it's happening for the first time more or less worldwide.
Mm. Yeah, we don't have time. We have lost any sense of patience and any sense of trying to process and digest what we
Mhm.
see, the reality. There is no time for that. You need to react. This is a reactionary century, and it is proper that the internet came along with this kind of generation and influenced it and was influenced by it. So do you think that the evils, shall we say, or the kind of something that uses up our time is our own creation, or we are starting to become the creation of the machine, shall we say?
Yeah, we're still creating the machines, luckily, at this point. Are we good AI and things like this? Are we? It's really interesting how self-sufficient these AIs become suddenly. But this will maybe provide time, or it will, we're pushing. It's like sometimes, even, if you take an arrow or you pull something back, or to slingshot, to throw, right? You have to pull back, and you're curious, how far can I pull it back?
Yes,
And
yes.
something may happen, or it won't work, or right. We like to test limits. So this is going to be testing a limit. And while you test the limits, I think we already think about the other side, what else
Yeah.
can be done. That's a normal instinct. And if we can give voice to that process and see the whole that is happening, then I think that will also move us, because you were talking about the tribes and being connected with nature and learning that we know so much more than we're taught to, or being allowed to think that we
Yes, yes.
are. And that, this is all dissolving it, because people feel there's something wrong. We're noticing more and more when there is
Yes,
no
yes.
truth, so we're going to look more for the truth. So this is going to happen. Family is becoming more help. I mean, family, not just the family, but how people help each other. This has been seen, and didn't matter again what social level, where you are, where there's help needed, it's right there. So we're creating our own way of tribes now, and crystallizing out what is going to come, I think.
Yes, it's problematic because you don't see 3D, shall we say, human beings anymore. You see them in a 2D flat screen. So it is very hard to connect with the machine. You see something that is AI essentially. We are AI when we talk now. We don't know if the other person exists right now at the moment that you exist, or you know that I exist, because we can't see each other. We
Ah,
can't
that's right.
look at each other in the eye and be in the presence of each other. So human beings are starting to say, I don't have to feel any emotions towards this person because it is a screen. You see it. I shake the screen. It's not a person. So what do you think that the
Yeah,
breaking?
that's really interesting. I remember when my son was small, we were meeting someone, and it was raining, so pouring, but we were all in the city. So we were all sitting in a hotel room, and he saw for the first time a television, and we turned it on, and he saw people, and he walked behind the TV to see where it was, because he experienced three-dimensionality. And there was a doctor about work. I forgot what the English name would be, but he said, what is happening, the people are losing perception. Yeah, so 18-year-olds don't have the perception than 18-year-olds in my generation, or he was even older than me, 20 years, his generation. Yeah, so they have more accidents. When driving, they're not so aware. So that comes my work in, or your work. We have to keep on speaking, and more people are looking for this. How can I become aware, right? that I feel and take in more of my environment. Yeah, there's some others, right? So people are now searching, so, oh, I'm losing this. How can I get it back? And what were the ancient ways that I can get back? Because no other machine is going to teach me now how to take it back. My perception, how to really look far again and feel everything around me, right? When I drive down the road, I can sense where the birds are, and I'm very connected with birds. So my whole driving my head changed, and I see the bird
I
or
like
an
that.
animal. I'm very connected to them whenever I drive. Some people drive like this because they're not connected. And I think that is going to be searched for more and more. That's my feeling in the future. People want that. They want stronger relationships. They want, again, more tactile. They
Yes.
want to be held. They don't know it maybe yet, what it is, but they're going to rebel against that and going to look for all those questions and look for the people that carry that information.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much, Meilin. It has been an insightful and great talking to a real channeler.
Thank
We
you.
are all channels of interaction.
We all.
We have ourselves and our thoughts, but they don't exist. Other human beings do exist, and they reaffirm my existence as a human being. So, so I want to thank you so much for acknowledging me as a human being, and also all the audience. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Guy, for having me, and thank you for building a community and a outlet of a discourse, of conversations
Yes.
that make us ponder and let us see possibility, and let us see that we have impact on the possibilities that we create, or we
Yeah.
can choose and in a way dictate our own life.
Yes. Yes. Be our to take ownership of our own
Yeah, that's the
lives.
word.
Yeah. To be the authors. Yeah. So
Mhm.
thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.
Bye.